Been a bunch of growth really all the way back to January till now. Excited to put our team on display. Have a lot of respect for Texas State. Know those coaches personally, friends with them. Have spent a lot of time learning ball with them, and so this will be fun. I know our players are excited about the opportunity to hit somebody else, and so they're looking forward to this. But we're healthy. I feel as we're prepared. I feel our coaches are in a good spot, so excited to attack this. Take any questions you guys have.
Do we need to say our name or anything?
Yes, please.
Yeah, John Werner, Waco Trip. Dave, as far as the development of the team, what are you hoping to maybe see in this game?
Show a real strong identity, execute fundamental things, and really establish a fastball. Show that we can, on offense, run the ball and have a play-action pass game off of it. On defense, get push in the middle, set edges, can tackle effectively. I think on special teams, show great speed and edge. I think those things are really foundational things, and I think that's where it's at as far as our team is. And it's important for us to not look beyond that, and to ask for really things that are foundational and things that we've really been building and working on for quite a while.
And how about as far as Gary specifically, what would you like to see from him?
I'd like to see Gary get into a rhythm. I'd like to see Gary gain confidence. I'd like to see him take control of the team on a Saturday night. And I think those things have happened throughout our camp and really throughout this whole process. But to do it on a Saturday is the next step, and full confidence that he's going to do that, and excited to see him do that.
Jerry Hill, Baylor Bear Insider. Dave, what separated him from the other couple of guys?
Gary has a really strong work ethic. He has a great appetite for football, and you could not feed him enough. And continuing to ask for more, and then able to I think as far as learning goes, a lot of times you get pieces of information here and there, and you're kind of collecting dots, and Gary's been able to connect the dots and take whatever information he has and then apply it and then teach others it. And so I think as far as that goes, he was at a different level. And then just being the type of teammate that he is, type of person that he is the right type of guy to lead a team. So excited for him. He's earned it. Excited for our opportunity.
Dave, Bryce Cherry, Waco Trib. This first game, it's been a long time since y'all played a football game. I mean, other than a W, what are you most wanting to see here week one? Identity.
I think we've worked really hard on that. I just had a talk with the staff this morning just on that. Now that we have an opportunity to play games, ever since January and really prior to that, just to be us, to be really strong at the simple things, to have that identity where when you play Baylor, you know what you're going to get, to put those things on display. And I think, running the ball and play action pass is part of that. I think on defense, getting pushed in the middle, setting edges is part of that. And I think on special teams, playing with great speed, enthusiasm, and edge is a part of that. And I think we show those things, we can build off of it.
Lark Smith, ESPN Central Texas. Looking at Texas State on paper, they've got a lot of players from the transfer portal. Mm-hmm. What difficulty does that give you in preparing for Texas State?
There is some difficulty that comes with that. I think, when I look at Texas State, I see a strong offensive outfit. I see a quarterback that can make plays throwing and running. I see a lot of creativity on offense. I think their skill jumps out at you. I think they've done some work to rebuild their lines on both sides of the ball. I feel like just knowing Coach, he wants to throw it a lot. I think the run game there you'll see more run if the run's successful. I think defensively, they have two interior D linemen that are pretty strong. I feel like are their best players. And then I think, they've got some transfers, particularly in the secondary at corner and various other spots on their defense. I think they're filling in with guys, but I think there is an identity on offense. I feel like defensively is where your question, I think, comes most into play. Is it 3 down? Is it 4 down? I think in looking at us, our offense having gone against our defense and how multiple it is, and whether it's this look or this blitz or this coverage, I think allows us to attack something like that in probably a more smoother way. But there will be a first quarter of adjusting, and there'll be conversations on sidelines of, hey, we practiced this, but it's that, and here's the adjustments we're making. I think that's generally true of every first game.
Steve Cook, Sikkim Sports. You've still got 4 of the 5 offensive line positions as oars. Do you see all of those players getting significant snaps in this first game?
I do. I think there will definitely be a group that will be rolled out to start, but then I think, the ability to have guys not take all of the reps, and we get to certain parts of the game, whether it's the end of the game or the end of a half, right, to be able to roll some other guys in to get them reps to create a depth, I think is important. I think offensive line-wise, it's generally that one position where you want as many guys working together as much as they can. But I do believe, though, we've got some good people that can help our team by getting reps, and so there will be some of that.
Do you see a lot of progress in that O-line group?
I do. That our second scrimmage that we had about a week ago was awfully impressed. And since then, the confidence that they've shown, if I go back, just looking at just the growth of that unit, really started in the weight room. Vic Valoria and that group, and the work that they've put in, the strength that they've gained, and you could see a little bit more confidence here and there. And then you go to spring, and there's a flash of a good play. There's the start of a belief of an identity, and I think you continue that into fall, into camp. And I really felt we were able to make up a lot of ground in that second scrimmage, and so it was really good to see. Things that we had been doing in the practice fields, we were able to take across the bridge into the stadium and execute it, and that's really been a hurdle for our offense and that group in particular, so it's good to see.
Dave, how much confidence does it give you going into a season with such an experienced defense?
I feel strong. My feelings are strong with the defense in terms of our ability to play base defense and get tackles for losses and make throws have to be tight and contested. I think when you start from that point, I think anything else, anything more, in terms of pressure, exotic coverages, are just extra. So our ability to be simple and really allow our players to come alive is really, really key. And I think, there's been a lot of work going into that because we could have this call and that call and some other calls on top of it. But allowing to have a platform where Apu can make his plays and make his presence felt, and where Terrell Bernard can run sideline to sideline and have his interior pressures, and where Christian Morgan can communicate and make the adjustments necessary in our base and make plays in the back as well as up in front. I think those are things that, and then, Jalen Petrie, feigting pressure, getting out underneath a slant, showing that he's in coverage and rushing off the edge. Those are things that I feel that we are pretty darn good at. And for us to really establish those things, I think is going to be a strength for us, and excited to do it.
Dave, after last year, and it was such a strange year, but how important is it to have some success early in that opening game, to look like a football team and have some success early?
Yeah, we've been awfully focused on the process of just really forming an identity and really focusing on simple things that we can control and we can really own and take really strong ownership of. And I think when you ask that question, I think it's a great one. What comes to mind is penalties or lack thereof, or ball security, or managing the clock, or winning the line of scrimmage. And so those are things from the very beginning we've really focused and honed in on. And I'm excited about the opportunity to go out and do those things. And I feel really confident that offensively and defensively there's a real strong belief that our effort, our execution, our edge can fill in the blanks in terms of the expectations, And so I think the focus on what we can control, I think, good things are going to come.
How have you handled the players, or even yourself, with what's going on in Louisiana with the hurricane?
Yeah, so we have a few players that have relatives, and so we're in the process of communicating with both our players that are here and their relatives that are there, finding ways that we can help. There's certain relatives that are under a fair amount of stress and adversity right now, and so we're trying to find ways. What we are allowed to do, we will do to try to help. And so, I know I have a lot of personal friends that, everyone decides to stay and hunker down, and so your prayers are with them for sure.
Okay, going back to that quarterback battle, you had mentioned all fall that you were waiting for kind of a moment when one of them stood out. What was that moment with Gary that made you realize he's our guy?
We had a spring game, and then we had our second scrimmage, which was a week ago. And so I think in both of those, so in the springtime, all your effort and work kind of concludes in that game, and then fall, everything you're doing kind of concludes with that second scrimmage. And in both of those, Gary was able to kind of be him, and under whatever stress or expectation comes with both of those events, he was able to kind of take it in stride and just do the stuff he does. And I think we had other folks not only on that position group, but throughout the team that just having the want to perform and wanting to please and do well, fight through that pressure and that stress of it. And so if you looked at one guy on the team that in the biggest moments, I wouldn't even say really rose to it, was just showed up like he always does in it, it would be him. And so you feel good about that going into this game with his just track record of showing up as he is.
What does Apu add to the defense?
I feel like they're going to have to double him. or try to cut him. And so I think, I think the 3-4, you start with that spot. You start there. And so if a guy, so you've got edges with your star and your jack, and then you have the 4 eyes aligned on the tackles, and so then you have your nose in the middle. If 2 guys have to take him, then you're gaining a number at the point of attack on a play. And so the math starts there. If there's ways that they can single him, then the math favors them. And so I think the ability to dictate double teams in the run game, and then that'd be 1A. 1B would be the ability to get push while you're doing that. So 2 guys are on you, but you're knocking the line of scrimmage back. And then 2 would be, right, in pass rush situations, the ability to, again, if you've got 5 guys up on the line of scrimmage, so 3 interior guys, then a star and a jack, right, for those 5 to block those 5, the 5 O-linemen to block our 5 defenders, that nose has to be singled. And so then you feel good about that win. If for them to block that nose, now they got to slide it one way or the other way. And so now you're talking about the jack rush, possibly one-on-one on the back, or you're talking about Petrie rushing one-on-one on the back. And so, I think he gives you a first move of trying to dictate a protection. And so that'd be 2. And then 3 would be just his personality and his energy. And there's a fair amount of alpha in him. And I think that has really transformed our D-line room. And I think that's going to pay dividends whether things are going good or bad.
The game's not far away. Do you have a message to Baylor fans for making that trip and getting there to see you guys play?
We've worked really hard to put a great product on the field, and I know I'm so blessed to be in a position to where you've got people that are believing in who you are and what you're doing, and I feel it, and I know our team feels it. Our coaches do. We're excited to get this thing rolling and have some fans travel with us too.
Going back to Gary, why did you feel it was important to announce that publicly when you did?
I feel he did everything we asked him to do. I feel like you could sense, especially at the completion of that second scrimmage, you could sense, or at least my gut told me that the team was ready for it, that it was wanting to have a, someone named and someone to when we're breaking a huddle, that they can look eye to eye and let's get this. You could you could sense that really, and so it felt like it was the right time. And then like mentioned earlier, he was coming off just a real strong performance with probably the most expectation / pressure / adversity, and so it felt like it was a good time to do it.
Dave, as far as Ebner and Abram Smith, do you feel like those guys maybe bring some different things to the table?
Yeah, I think with Ebner to me, from going from spring to where he is right now, is one of our most transformed, most alive guys we got on the team. I think in terms of leadership, in terms of doing what we're asking to do with the new offense, in terms of play style and effort that he's giving. I feel like Ebner's completely turned on, and really excited to see him Saturday night. And so, he brings a home run ability. He brings an opportunity to take a 3 or 4 yard run into a really long run. I think we've been working really hard to not, when there is a 3 or 4 yard run and there's not the opportunity to get a big run, that 3 or 4 yards is okay, and so I think there's a lot of positive in that approach. We're working on rounding some of the sharp edges of it. And then he brings a great ability to catch the ball out of the backfield and a real strong willingness to block and just do dirty things. And then, like I say, with a great leadership and an evolving leadership. So I'm proud of him. And then I think with Abram, you got someone that's tough is the word that comes to mind, physical, downhill. If there's someone in the hole, he's gonna lower his pads. And I just got 3 yards running into this dude. Can I do that again? When do I get to do that again? So there's a little bit of a different approach there. And so I think the ability to play off of those guys and a lot of packages have them in at the same time. It's going to be fun to watch.
Okay, when you look at Texas State, what about them stands out to you that you think could be a threat?
Athleticism, skill on the perimeter. I think quarterback and ability to make plays with his feet. I think he's got some moxie to him. I think he can create big plays when there's not really a play to be made. Receivers, I think, can all run. A fair amount of guys coming back that caught a lot of balls and touchdowns. And then defensively, right, I think they've got 2 interior nose guard and a 3 technique that I think could play most places. And then there's a fair amount of guys that have come in and out. And they're hoping to get a cornerback, and so they're fighting through some injuries there, but there's a fair amount of talent. Then knowing their coaches and knowing what type of work they put in to prepare and all of it is something that I respect, and so it's a good opponent. We'll be ready for it.
Anything else?
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you guys. Appreciate y'all.